Hello guys, my name is Evans and welcome to this video tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to continue looking at the February-March 2017 IGCSE ICT Paper 3, and in a couple of videos we have been working on Paper 2, and now we're going to start with Paper 3. Now, my approach in solving these papers this time around is going to be a little different in that I'm going to incorporate something that I've not done before. Um, in a couple of videos, I've mentioned about the examiner report that is produced for each particular paper, okay, from the principal examiner from Cambridge. And in this video, I want to be using that document on selected questions so that you guys I explain exactly what examiners were looking for when answering certain questions. Okay, so the examiner report is simply a document or a report that really shows you what is expected from candidates on particular question, the kind of mistakes or the type of mistakes that candidates could have been making as they attempted to work on a particular question, and some just those common small things that you'd under normal circumstances neglect, thinking maybe it's not important, but they affect your overall results. Okay, so this report kind of highlights some of those things. It may not be in full, but it really picks out most of those things that are critical if you're to get full marks on a particular question. Okay, so without wasting much of the time, I'll be coming back to this document, like I said. When I come across a question that I would want to point out something, I went through the report for this paper that I'm doing, so I highlighted some questions that I feel I need to communicate something from the examiner's point of view, and then I'll highlight certain things, also make one or two comments on that, and then we can get started so that you have a better understanding also. All right, so let's get started. So in this video, I'll start with a section on web authoring, and um, so we're going to start working first of all with the evidence document. Okay, so task 1 says open the file m17evidence.rtf. Make sure your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on every page of your evidence document by placing these details in the header. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back for the next point, and then we can do that. Okay, so my source files are here, and we open the evidence document, and from the evidence document we're going to insert in our header. So let's just go insert in the header. Okay, so blank 3 columns as usual. So Chikasa Evans, and it's ZM556, and our candidate number is 0001. Okay, right, so the next point says that save this as a word process document in your work area with the file name m17evidence followed by your candidate number. For example, m17 evidence 9999. Okay, so let's go ahead and just save that. Let me just close this other it's a book I was reading, so just close that. So let's save this as a Word document, but it's supposed to be m17 evidence 0001. Okay, don't forget to change the file type to Word document because we've been told to save it as a word process document. Okay. Okay, so we go to task 2. You work for Hothouse Design and will develop web pages for Goa Elephant Sanctuary. Many of the people who will view the web page have slow internet, so efficient markup must be used. Okay, so you must take into consideration the aspect of slow internet, so that the pages don't take long to load, for example. Okay, so point number 1 is create a new folder called m17_html. Okay, so let's go here. where am I? It's here. So let's create a folder in here called m17 underscore html. Okay, so m17 underscore html. So that's our folder. Next, locate the files and store them. So the following files, and store them in your m17 underscore html folder. And so these are the files that you have here, from background 1, background 2, image 1 to image 8, logo, and css, the cascading style sheet file. Okay, so let's go ahead and do just that. So from bg1, bg2, then get all image 1 to image 8, or maybe what I can do is to select all of them. Let me just get all of them and then eliminate these that I don't need. Okay, okay, so I don't need this one. So from bg1, bg2, I need them. Image 1 to image 8, I need them, and the logo and the css style sheet, I also need it. Okay, so just drag and drop them there, and you have there. So you should have altogether about 12 items in your folder. If you have anything less than that or more than that, then which means you've selected the numbers that are not supposed to be there. Okay, so if you count these, there should be about 12 of them. Okay, so let's go ahead now. Step number 1, create a web page called m17 I don't know if it's GS or short for Goa Elephant Sanctuary.htm. So this web page must work in all browsers and will have a table structure as shown below, and each table cell is identified with a letter and all dimensions are in pixels. So let's go ahead and create a table which looks like this. First of all, we start with the web page, which is m17ges.htm. So I'm going to open my front page, and the default web page which is there, I'm going to save it as, and then m17ges.htm. okay, and I'm going to put it right inside my folder where my files are. Okay, just right there. Forgive me, I changed the name. It's supposed to be m17ges.htm. okay, so that should be that, and save it there. Okay, so there you have the name there. Now the next thing that you're supposed to do is to insert a table which is going to be of this format. Okay, so let's have a look at the table. So you have 1 2 3 4 5 rows, and you have 1 2 3 4 columns. Okay, so it's a 5 by 4 table, and let's go ahead and just insert a table. So go to table, insert table, and it's supposed to be a 5 by 4. Okay, and then the other stuff, leave them because we've not been told to change anything, so just let everything remain as it is. Okay, so this is our table. Now if you look at this table, the next thing that we're supposed to do now is to work on the dimensions of the table. Now guys, this is very, very important. Okay, one of the common mistakes that you guys will make if you come back here is that, let's go to the table properties, and let's have a look at some of the properties that are existing on the table, especially the width of the table. Note that the initial width of the table is 100%. Okay, and this is by default, it's 100%. And if you come back here, you notice that the width of this table overall is supposed to be a 900 pixel. Okay, because we're told that the dimensions are in pixels, and the largest number of pixels we have there is 900. Okay, so the overall dimension of this is supposed to be 900. Okay, I'll go to the examiner report once I work on this table, and then we'll look at what the examiner had commented about some of the mistakes that candidates were making on this one, but it has to do with what I've just explained here. So for the overall pixels, make it 900 and not 100%. Okay, so 900 pixels, and you see that the table has actually been reduced in terms of size, the width. Okay, so let's go ahead now and work with the dimensions. First of all, let's deal with the cell merging. Note that all the cells in A and B and K have been merged into individual cells. Okay, so let's go ahead and do just that. So I'll get this one and right click and merge it. Okay, then get this one as well, right click and merge it, then get the last one and merge it as well. And then we give the dimensions. So the first one is a 900 by 200. Okay, then 900 by 120, and then we'll come back to these ones. Okay, so first one is 900 by, so go to right click and then go to cell properties this time, and then specify the width is supposed to be 900 and specify the height is supposed to be 200. Okay, apply, go for the second one, which is the B, go to cell properties, specify the width is still 900, specify the height, it's 120. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we have 225 by 225 from C to F, and then 225 by 100 from G to J. Okay, so let's go ahead and put those. So all these, so select them at once and go to cell properties and specify it's supposed to be 900, and these ones are supposed to be rather 225 by 225, not 900. Make sure that pixels is what is selected there. Okay, say okay, and then the next one, these ones, get them as they are and go to cell properties and specify it's supposed to be 225 the width, and the height is supposed to be 100, and say apply and okay. The last one is supposed to be 900 by 60, so let's just go ahead and do just that. So specify the width 900 and the height is supposed to be 60, and apply. Alright, so we are done with the dimensions of this table. So let's go to the principal examiner report and have a look at what the examiner commented on question 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to start with question 1 itself. Okay, so the majority of candidates created a table structure as required, okay, with the correct dimensions. Some candidates created a web page without adding the required cell dimensions. So it's very important, guys, that when you create your table, you individually deal with each cell and give it the given dimensions that are indicated in the question paper. Okay, so you notice that I was selecting these cells at once and give them the dimension because they have the same dimensions. So when you have cells that have got similar dimensions, you can select those cells together and modify the dimensions in a go or at a go. And then these cells that have got different dimensions, I had to change the dimensions one by one. But again, if you want, you can select these 3 cells, and because they have the same width, you can give them the same width. But again, you'll be required to open them and give them actually individual heights. Okay, so that is what the examiner expects you to do. They expect you to give dimensions to your table. Now, if we come back to the report, it says that many candidates did not include evidence in the markup or the style sheet to show that they had set the table border not to be displayed on the final web page. Okay, so you need to show evidence. I'll come back to this one and I'll show you where this one is coming from. But my main concern was this one. It says a number of candidates set the table width to 100% and not 100 pixels, and rather 900 pixels as specified. So you need to be very careful here that the highest dimension that you have, for example, if this one was 2000 pixels or 1500 pixels as the highest numeric value that you have in this table, that would mean that would be the overall width or height, depending which side of the dimension that is, whether it's the height of the width. That would be the dimension of the table to that end. Okay, now somebody once asked me a question: is it necessary to also set the height of the table? Okay, so the height is not important because it's a collection of 200 plus 120 plus 225 plus 100 plus 60. Then you have to get a calculator and punch in and find the actual value and then give it that. It's not necessary to work on the height, but the width is necessary because you have got the largest value for the width, which is important, which is here. If it was the case that we had a table which was flipped the other way around and we had the height as the one which had the maximum, then we would also include the height. Okay, but as it is, I don't think it's necessary to include the height. Just end with the width. Okay, so the next thing that we're supposed to do was we're told that the table borders, the letters and dimensions shown in the table must not appear on your final web page. Okay, so this should not appear on the final web page, and we are not going to so as it is, the table borders in our thing are appearing. Now, may I make also an emphasis here in that we have not specifically told to set the table border to 0 in the HTML code. Even though this, if you right click here and go to table properties and you find where it's written border, if you set border to 0, then the table borders are going to be set to 0. But we have not been told to tamper with the borders from this end. Okay, I like it that you can set the property of the table or border from the style sheet itself. Okay, so you don't have to be in a haste here or in a hurry to go ahead and set the border here. Guys, I repeat this one. You don't have to be in a hurry if you've not been told explicitly to state or to set the table border from the HTML code. Okay, because you can do that from the style sheet and it becomes an efficient method of programming, of writing code. Okay, so I'm going to set the table border to answer this question, which says table borders must not appear on the final web page. I'm going to remove the table borders from the style sheet. Okay, so take note of this one. We'll come back to it. Okay, so let's go ahead now and deal with the cells. So place in cell A the image of M17 logo.jpg. Okay, so we're going to do just that. Okay, let's come back here. So here we're going to insert the image of the logo. So browse and go to where your files are and get the logo image. Okay, and there you go. It looks beautiful. Next, step number 3, enter in cell B the text, a leader in conservation and development, watch, eat, ride, enjoy, donate and conserve. Okay, and then we're supposed to set this as style H1. Okay, so let's go ahead and do just that. So we're going to type now guys, when you type, may I just make a comment here, because the examiner again is going to, the examiner report again is going to show you something. When you see text that is given to you in bold, okay, it means the examiner expects you to type this text as it is. Where there is a comma, put a comma. Where there is capital letter, put capital letter. Where there is full stop, put full stop. Everything should be typed as you see it. And proofread when you're done typing to make sure that everything has been set as examiner expects you to set it. Okay, that's very important. So this one I'm going to do now. For the sake of time, I'm just going to copy and paste this time, but you guys are going to get this. So I'm going just to copy this and paste it here. Okay, so there you go. I'm going to delete this and set this as style H1. Okay, so set it as style H1. There you go. Now let's go to the examiner report. Don't get tired of me. I'll be switching between these reports. So part 3 of the question, the examiner report says that this question was answered well by by the majority of candidates. There were a large number of candidates who omitted spaces between the words after the commas in the second line. So you guys, you need to be very careful when you type this. You notice that there is space between the words that are separated by commas here, and you need to put spaces. Don't be in a hurry. Okay, you are prepared a professional document, and you don't have to prepare as if you are preparing for your grandma or for your grandfather who won't even matter. I mean, care who won't even care about the way you present them. In the past we used to write letters to our friends, and would include those drawings and some symbols of love shapes, the hearts and stuff. But you cannot do that in a professional letter. Okay, imagine you are writing imagine you're writing a letter of applying for employment, and you're addressing the company director. Good, or let's say good morning, sir, or good afternoon, sir. How are you doing that side? Me, I'm doing well. I hope this letter finds you in good shape or in good form. I hope you're going to the gym, you're working out. You've been casual now. Okay, you before you notice it. It's like what somebody recently told me about this person who applied for a job, and the person even wrote a follow-up letter, writing to the HR to say, no, since I wrote the last letter to you, I've not heard from you. I'm just writing this letter to confirm that you received my letter. Please, if you receive my letter, please give me a feedback. Okay, so let's not go that way, guys. So let's make it professional. Okay, as it is. So it's in bold, type it in bold, and let's make it as it is. Okay, all right. So I'm sure the examiner report is going to take me a lot of time. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to include this report as part of the files that I'm going to attach to this video, and then you can work and see for yourself what examiners were really expecting on questions. Except on certain questions, of course, I'll make a comment, but I may not be able to switch on to the examiner report here and there because of time. I've already not wasted. I'm not wasting time here. I'm not wasting time. I'm recording, but I've already spent quite some time just trying to do this. So let me just I don't know. Let me see how much time I've used so far, and then so I've used about 21 minutes just to talk about this. So I'm gonna have to stop this video here, guys, and then I'll pick it up from step number 4, and then from there I won't be switching in between the examiner report for the sake of time, but you guys should know, and I've shown you that there's this report that exists, and I suppose your teachers should be able to provide this report for you. Cambridge actually allows you or allows your teachers to rehearse with you, or to go with you, to go through this report with you, so that you guys have typical understanding of what knowledge is expected of you from certain questions. Okay, so let me pick it up from question step number 4, and then we'll continue all the way with the remaining steps. Okay.